In the winter of 1984, the corporate halls of Nike smelled like panic. The company that would soon rule global sports was on the verge of total collapse. Before Michael Jordan walked through their doors, Nike was drowning in unsellable running shoes and bleeding millions to their ultimate rival. That rival wasn't Adidas or Reebok. It was Converse, the undisputed king of American basketball, wearing the crown and blocking every punch. Converse held an ironclad monopoly on the NBA, sponsoring legendary players and controlling every single locker room from coast to coast. Phil Knight had built Nike on running culture, but the jogging boom had suddenly flatlined. Sales plummeted, and banks started knocking on his office door. But the real danger wasn't just dropping sales. It was a fatal strategic blind spot that almost handed the entire empire over to Converse on a silver platter. In early 1984, Converse executives sat in a sleek Boston boardroom and openly mocked Nike's desperate attempts to break into basketball. Converse owned the official footwear contract for the 1984 Los Angeles Olympic Games. They felt untouchable, invincible, and destined to rule forever. Phil Knight knew he needed a miracle. His marketing team was fractured, his inventory warehouses were overflowing, and debt was crushing his cash flow. Rumors leaked across Wall Street that Converse was preparing a hostile buyout offer to absorb Nike's remaining assets for pennies on the dollar. Imagine watching your life's work vanish because one competitor controlled the entire sports establishment. That was the brutal reality Phil Knight faced every single morning. Nike's creative director Rob Strasser drafted a confidential internal memo warning that if they failed to sign a franchise rookie, Nike would cease to exist by 1985. That rookie's name was Michael Jordan. But back then, Jordan didn't even want to meet with Nike. He preferred Adidas above all others. Converse assumed Jordan would naturally sign with them, since they were the undisputed lords of basketball culture. They didn't even bother making an aggressive pitch. Phil Knight gambled everything on a single high-risk meeting, offering an unprecedented royalty deal that completely shattered industry norms. When Jordan signed the historic contract in April 1984, Converse laughed it off as a reckless financial suicide mission by a desperate company. The NBA promptly banned Nike's revolutionary red and black Air Jordan 1 shoes for violating uniform rules, slapping the company with $5,000 fines every single game. Instead of backing down, Phil Knight turned the ban into the greatest marketing heist in corporate history, paying every single fine with a triumphant grin. Converse watched in utter disbelief as millions of teenagers lined up around city blocks just to buy the forbidden shoes their heroes wore on the court. The tables had turned overnight. Nike's revenue skyrocketed past the $500 million mark, while Converse sales flatlined into terminal decline. Converse failed to adapt, clinging stubbornly to canvas shoes while the entire athletic world shifted to high-tech performance, cushioning, and bold disruptive branding. By the early 1990s, Converse was forced to file for bankruptcy protection, a tragic fall from grace for the company that once ruled American sports. Phil Knight's near-death experience taught him a ruthless lesson. In business, loyalty to tradition is a death sentence, and calculated risk is the only survival mechanism. Think about your own financial decisions today. Are you holding on to comfortable, outdated habits while agile competitors reshape your industry right before your eyes? Nike's survival proves that massive empires can crumble in months if leadership ignores disruptive innovation in favor of comfortable monopoly status. Converse thought they were untouchable in 1984. 30 years later, Nike bought Converse for $300 million, acquiring their former tormentor as a subsidiary brand. History doesn't just repeat itself in corporate boardrooms. It punishes arrogance with absolute market execution and rewards audacious vision with eternal dominance. When everyone tells you a deal is financial suicide, look closer. The greatest fortunes in history were forged on the edge of total annihilation. Phil Knight walked through the fire of 1984 and emerged as the undisputed titan of global sports apparel, forever altering how the world buys and wears sneakers. The throne is never secure. Stay vigilant, question every monopoly, and remember that tomorrow's giant can fall in a single afternoon.